Hello, and welcome to this day in history for January 29th. January 29th is the 29th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 336 days remaining until the end of the year, except for leap years, in which case there are 337 days remaining until the end of the year. Today's word is exponential. In mathematics, the word exponential is of or expressed by a mathematical exponent, which has to do with multiplying a number by itself. Outside of math, exponential is used as an adjective that means of an increase becoming more and more rapid, or having a high or rapid rate of change, increasing quickly by large amounts, as in, rabbits have a reputation of exponential population growth. This word comes to us from 18th century French, exponentielle, and before that from Latin, exponere, which means to put out, or, as we might think of it today, output. And with that, we're going to start in the year 1737. Now, we've talked about Thomas Paine before. He's known for having published a pamphlet entitled Common Sense in 1776, which established him as one of the founding fathers of the United States. Thomas Paine was born on January 29, 1737. He lived to the age of 72. This is the birthday of American general, lawyer, and politician Moses Cleveland, perhaps best remembered today for having founded Cleveland, Ohio. He was born on January 29, 1754. King George III died on this date in 1820. This is the very King George whose authoritarian demands prompted the American colonists to cleave together and fight for independence from Britain. On January 29, 1843, William McKinley was born. He became the 25th president and was the first one to ride in an automobile. Edgar Allan Poe's poem, The Raven, was published in the New York Evening Mirror on January 29, 1845. Kansas became the 34th state to enter the Union on January 29, 1861. This is the birthday of American actor, comedian, and screenwriter W.C. Fields. He was born in 1880. Carl Benz patented the first successful gasoline-driven automobile on January 29, 1886. Bonnie Raitt's dad, John Raitt, was born on this day in 1917. He was also a singer and an actor, working in theater, television, and film. He died in 2005 at the age of 88. Those of you who know me well will not be surprised to hear how delighted I was to see this next item come up in my research for today. For you see, it is that on January 29th, 1936, the first 5 baseball greats were chosen for induction into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. That group, the first 5 as we like to call them, are Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Honus Wagner, Christy Mathewson, and Walter Johnson. Later on in the year, we'll talk about the first induction ceremony. Inductees are selected by the Baseball Writers Association of America, also known as BBWAA, and also the Veterans Committee. Inductees are selected by a ballot process and announced in January, and then the actual induction ceremony happens later in the year, typically around the end of July. And we just mentioned Paul Newman the other day, didn't we? Well, he's back in this day in history today because on January 29th, 1958, Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward got married. Unusual in general and a definite anomaly in Hollywood, these two were devoted to each other and stayed married until death parted them. A folk trio known as Peter, Paul, and Mary signed their first recording contract with Warner Brothers on January 29, 1962. 8-episode miniseries Roots premiered on ABC on January 29, 1977. And on January 29, 1980, the Rubik's Cube made its international debut at the Ideal Toy Corporation in Earl's Court, London.
And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that is called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, Parler, BitChute, and Getter. all those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.
January 2nd.
The 16th. It's all written in Roman numerals, so I had to translate it. Hopefully I got that pronunciation close.
Yeah, Annie's ready to go.
Flinging happiness all over the place. Alrighty, back to work.